Ben McKee, Patrick Brown, Go Vols 24/7 here on campus on Monday following Tennessee's important 20-13 win over Texas A&M, and also Monday of Alabama week, which gets the people going here on campus every year in October. And we will touch on the Alabama game here in just a moment. But first, cleaning up some things from A&M. I think the big conversation outside of how well both lines of scrimmages played is that the passing game needs to find a way to get going here coming up.
Yeah, Ben, Josh Heupel was really complimentary of his defense and how the offensive line played, and had a good question from Wes about if he thought Tennessee could be a good run team going into the season. He thought they had the chance, and reiterated again what we've said, that despite all the explosive pass plays being what makes the highlight shows, it's the bread and butter of this offense is the run game. So that's going well. The passing game is not going well. It's interesting to me that he said that Joe Milton needed to be fundamentally better on some things, to be a little bit more accurate on some throws, and they need to make some plays on the outside. So it sounds like things have shifted from the quarterback and the receivers and the offensive line to just the quarterback and the receivers, and obviously they're going to have to step up and make some plays in the passing game against Alabama. Alabama's going to play physical on the outside. Tennessee's going to have to make some plays at wide receiver, and Milton's obviously got to play a better game too.
Yeah, and I liked Cooper's answer as well to Wes's question when he said that everybody was kind of talking about Tennessee's offensive line in the preseason, but he kept reminding people that they were going up against one of the best defensive lines in the country, and that has certainly played out in that manner. What will need to play out on Saturday if Tennessee wants to have a chance of winning this game is handling the environment much better than they did a year ago at Georgia and they did earlier this season against Florida in the Swamp.
Yeah, and Cooper Mays, again, he had an interesting kind of relatable way to say it, is how good would you be at your job if you had somebody yelling in your ear the entire time, which is good. It's something to remember too. I mean, it gets loud in some of these SEC venues, and Tennessee's had some issues handling that. They've had some issues with false start penalties and communication on offense. They've also had times where the stage has looked a little bit too big, and they've been a little deer in the headlights with some of their play, and you see some uncharacteristic mistakes. So they've got to find a way to manage that. Obviously, Alabama is going to be revved up for this game. They all remember what happened, I think it's 366 days ago here when Tennessee won, snapped a 15-game losing streak. And as much as we talked about revenge for Tennessee as the angle going into the South Carolina game, I'm sure it'll be the same for Alabama this week. So, it's going to be a hostile environment. It always is when you play on the road in the SEC. So Tennessee's got to be able to handle it better if they're going to kind of take the next step as a program. You got to go into somebody's house and everybody's against you, and you got to go win a game.
Absolutely, and this is another line of scrimmage game, very similar to Texas A&M, and I think A&M, not that Tennessee wasn't already prepared, but I feel like it was a good experience to have, I guess, the week before you go and play a very similar game. But this one will have a different kind of test for the defense, because they're going to have to make sure they keep Jalen Milroe bottled up. They didn't really have to worry about that with Max Johnson. They'll have to worry about that this weekend.
Yeah, he's definitely a dynamic runner, and he's made some plays down the field throwing the football. They hit some big plays last week against Arkansas. They seem to be a little bit boom or bust with some of that in their passing game right now. I still think Milroe was, 10 of 21 against Arkansas. So if you can make him a pocket passer, that's your best bet. If he's out there running around, scrambling, extending plays, that's going to mean a long night for you. But to your point, Ben, I think Tennessee, Alabama, and Texas A&M are all top 3 in the SEC in sacks and tackles for loss. So you're getting 2 disruptive defenses. You're going to have to play well on the line of scrimmage. But Tennessee defensively they have to have good integrity in their rush lanes, and they have to tackle in the open field when Milroe does get out there.
Yep, it's a big week for Tennessee football, and we at Go Vols 24/7 have plenty of coverage still coming out of the win over Texas A&M, and we'll have plenty of coverage all week long, previewing you for Saturday's game at 3:30 in Bryant-Denny Stadium. He's Patrick Brown. I'm Ben McKee.